What are the limitations of AP? Okay, we talked about how AP was so wonderful and all that, but there are also limitations on AP. Number one, it depends on the availability of the comparable information. If it's a new company, compare against what? There's no last year. New company clearly small. They got no forecast. They got no budgets. You can't really compare with industry data because they're so small. Industry data are usually the large companies, the mega companies. Okay. So again, it's an issue. Second, clearly our source of information comes from management accounts because prior to audit, isn't it? If the accounting system is dodgy, that means it's not very, very good. Then with unreliable information, you get unreliable AP results, isn't it? So those two are the main limitations of AP. Number one is the availability of information. Number two, it depends on the accounting system of the client's accounting system. If it's not functioning well, then the AP makes no sense. Okay, anyone can do the AP, but the interpretation of the AP is usually done by the senior. Remember that. AP calculation is very, very easy, very straightforward, isn't it? Okay, but the interpretation is usually done by someone higher level. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Then we move on to this thing called the audit risk model. So audit risk model is basically IR, CR, and DR. Okay, I'll put XX first. Okay, all right. Audit risk, which is AR, is basically a situation where the audit firm has issued an inappropriate report. That means they got the whole audit wrong. The company is not true and fair, you say it's true and fair. Or when the company is actually true and fair, you say it's not true and fair. So you got the whole audit wrong and you're going to end up either in jail and pay a huge penalty. Okay. IR and CR. Okay. IR stands for inherent risk. So inherent risk is basically where the financial statements is susceptible to a material misstatement without considering internal controls at all. Okay, there are a lot of examples in the workbook, all right, which I probably will tell you later at what page. But it'll be things like changing customer stays. The whole economic went into a recession. Non-compliance, I can't say non-compliance, changing seasons, I don't know, that a lot of things. Anything besides internal controls, that will all be lumped under inherent risk. Control risk clearly will be when the internal controls of the company fail to prevent, fail to detect, and fail to monitor the internal controls or the material misstatements within the FS, which I've already mentioned to you. P&L balance sheet is the end product of all controls. If the controls are not functioning, they're not effective, and the P&L and the balance sheet is rubbish because it's just an aggregation of all the records. Okay, so control risk is when the internal controls are not functioning. DR, which is detection risk, is when the auditor failed to detect material misstatements within the FS. That means they failed in discharging their obligation or their responsibilities. Maybe they use the wrong sample, they use the wrong materiality concept, whatever it is, you failed to detect the mistake. Okay, and sampling risk is when the samples chosen are not representative of the population. And non-sampling risk is when you misinterpret the evidence, or you may have used inappropriate audit procedures to gather those evidence. Okay, there's no such thing as evidences here. There's no such word. One evidence, two evidence, three evidence. There is no such thing as evidences. Okay. All right. IR and CR basically is also known as risk of material mistake, RMM. Because sometimes they like to use RMM in the question. So RMM basically is just looking at IR and CR. They don't even want to look at DR. So I don't want you guys to start talking about DR. Okay, guys? All right. This is actually I almost said it. Okay, but it's a little bit of a defunct today. Okay, it's no longer really applicable, but it's still in the syllabus. It is basically that's how the formula works. AR is IR, CR, and DR. Okay, the one in green here. Okay, let me bring it up higher a bit. So audit risk, clearly, will your partner one day come and say, look guys, I want to go to jail. Let's get the audit risk wrong. Hey, let's get the audit opinion wrong. Would that ever happen? No. So it's always going to be static, or it may only reduce, isn't it? So that's why I put a static here. It will always be the same. If not, it can only go down. Yes, Gabby. Audit risk means you get the audit report wrong. So will your partner come up to you and say, Gabby, I want to go to jail. I hate my wife or I hate my husband so much. I think going to jail feels better. Will your partner ever say that to you? No, right? So audit risk usually can only go down or remain the same. It can never go up. Okay, it's already fixed. Understand? All right. Assuming that IR and CR has gone up, that means that the inherent risk of the whole audit has gone up. The controls are also not functioning properly. It has gone up. The only way for it to balance it off again is that detection risk must come down, is it? If not, AR cannot be static. So I only can do DR must come down a lot to maintain my AR the same. Audit risk is inherent, control, and detection. Okay? So in order for detection risk to go down so much, it basically means materiality must go down, isn't it? And if materiality goes down, means I increase a lot of sample size. I'll be doing a lot of testing to make sure the auditors, yeah. Okay, so if inherent risk and control risk goes up, auditors got to do a lot of work to make sure at the end of the day, you issue out a correct audit report. That's how the formula works. Okay, so the up and down is basically a spectrum between low and high. Okay, so this thing is actually movable. Okay, so if IR has gone down, control risk has gone down, detection risk must go up, isn't it? So detection risk goes up means you can increase materiality, do less work. Understand? That's how the formula works, but it's not really applicable today. Lower. You lower your materiality level. So from 250,000, drop it down to 200. So when you drop to 200 means you got to do more work, isn't it? Because anything above 200, you have to substantiate. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. It can mitigate. Okay. IR is a risk where the financial statements will be subjected to, there's a possibility of material misstatements without considering internal controls. That means you don't look at the internal control side, like changing customer state. Then clearly your business may be affected if you did not adapt. Understand? So it's something like business risk. So now that people are moving towards EV, you're a car producing company. You do not start thinking of how to move to EV, you're going to be screwed, isn't it? So your revenue is going to be definitely a high chance of an overall understatement, isn't it? Understand that type of thinking? Or you're trying to sell beef burger in Bombay. Knowing very well that probably 50% of Indians in Mumbai don't take beef. Then you're going to be in trouble, isn't it? All right. So any risk that the company can face without looking at internal controls. Okay. Don't worry, there's a lot of examples in the textbook. Okay. So far, good. Yeah. All right. In terms of climate change risk, I think this is just an add-on again. All right. So physical risks are basically risks that arises from the physical effects of the climate change. Examples of physical risk: drought, fire, flooding, ding ding dong dongs. Okay. Transition risk relates to social and economic shifts to a low carbon economy. So again, I think it's more of compliance with laws and regulation. If you don't really do it, then you're screwed. Like ICE cars to EV cars. Okay, that is always the best example now. Stranded assets are basically assets of the company that requires to be replaced or modified to meet the current climate change conditions. And if you don't change it, then clearly a massive impairment will kick into your assets.